All right, we are back. Much has happened since we aired last. I want to say after the last episode, we were fresh off the SC win.
Yeah.
And spirits were high. Spirits are not high right now as the season is over. And the Bruins fell to Tennessee last Saturday night, concluding their first season in the Big Ten. Mick Cronin's sixth season ends with a second-round exit in the NCAA tournament. And more relevant news, today is Monday, March 24th. The transfer portal officially opened today, right? Not yesterday, today.
Yeah.
And the Bruins have already seen two departures, one coming from Devin Williams, who redshirt sophomore, I want to say, and William Kyle, who had entered the program this past season. Transferred him from, what was the name of that school?
South Dakota State.
South Dakota. They're the Jackrabbits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
That's good knowledge.
Yeah. We'll start with Devin Williams. He was a four-star Southern California kid. What was it, Centennial?
Corona.
Corona.
Corona Centennial. Four-star get. So you kind of hate to see that kind of departure because that's kind of the player that we all kind of miss and love, which are those like high-profile high school local kids. But I think this one might be best for everybody. We saw a little bit of him last year, redshirted this year, and 6'10" dude, had the natural frame for it. But even watching him play last year, you look at photos of him on the bench this year, very skinny dude.
Yeah.
And I want to say he considered himself a forward. He played the four. That clearly, if we learned one thing from this past year, that's not going to cut it. And didn't appear to be developing physically. I'm not sure if that's what kind of led to his departure, if things just weren't coming along for him at UCLA, but Devin Williams is gone.
I mean, writing was kind of on the wall with that one, with him redshirting. And
what was the reason for the redshirt? Just development?
I thought it was weird that he stuck around, to be honest, or like just would redshirt knowing that he was potentially going to leave. I'm not sure.
I don't think it was definitely not a medical redshirt.
No. Yeah.
No.
So, I mean, hey, best of luck to Devin Williams. Again, a bummer to see a 4+ star LA high school kid not pan out, but I think this is best for all parties. And that brings us to William Kyle, who we saw a good amount of this year in his first year and only year with UCLA. And there's definitely upside to William Kyle that I will miss. And I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter today, I don't know which account it was, but they tweeted like a highlight reel of him. Yeah. And almost a little deceptive, because if you watch that highlight tape, you're like, and you're like a fan from a different fan base or like a different school, you're like, we need this guy.
This kid's a stud, yeah.
Because if you watch that tape, the dunks, the blocks, the hops, the guy has undeniable athleticism. And his highlight tape's an epic watch. But I mean, the only thing I'm going to remember from William Kyle is a literal inability to shoot a basketball.
The free throws are nightmare fuel.
If you guys don't know it off the top of your head, do you know what his end of season?
39%.
Oh, you fucker! I said if you didn't know it.
You know, I was coming with the number right away.
Quant.
I mean, like when I said I'm gonna miss stuff about William Kyle, that's number one, just being like an immediate willingness to think dunk first.
Yeah.
Like if he was fed the ball under the bucket, he was. I'm not going to dribble. I'm not going to gather myself. I'm not going to lay it off the glass. His mind immediately went to dunking the basketball, and I think that that's something that we've just lacked at UCLA for a long period of time as a dunk first big man. So I'll absolutely miss that. But dude, when you can't break 40% from the line, you just lose like so much of the upside that a big brings. I know like you can't expect a big to be like some sniper from free throws, but like.
But even Mara, like
just 60% even, because like what do you do when you're a big man? You play physical under the basket, and you get hacked a lot, and you go to the line. Just shooting 60%.
Give me 2 out of every 3. Yeah,
you drop that 20%, and you're leaving so many points on the board. So
it sucks to see him go because I thought he had a lot of potential. I think he was a little, I don't know, just sort of facial expressions and sort of how he moved and carried himself on the court. Sometimes it felt like he was a little fragile. So I think maybe potentially, stepping into this conference, obviously a new role, not playing a whole lot. I think his confidence may have been down from the get-go, and that sort of carried some weight with him. But I feel like when he did play, he showed obviously freak athleticism. And it was weird because Cronin started to pair him with a Daimara at times throughout the end of the season. We saw that even in this Tennessee game, and sort of to match their athleticism, because I mean, as big and as a beast of Mara is, I wouldn't say he's entirely athletic. Who's our most athletic player on the team? I would say, unfortunately, it's probably Dylan Andrews.
I could make an
Just
argument
quick.
for Eric Daly maybe, in just a pure athleticism.
That's actually, I kind of like Kyle's, because my mind wouldn't go there just for obvious reasons, but if you look at just their ability to like turn and
Speed, burst,
speed
turn.
and defense, it's going to be Dylan Andrews.
Yeah. So I think he added that. Like, we were definitely missing another just athletic forward. I mean, Bilodeau, I don't think he's too athletic. He's a pure shot maker. So tough to see him go, but hopefully that means that there's another going to be on their way in.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what Mara's situation is and with the uncertainty about him staying or leaving, this is... Either way, if Mara stays or goes, the big man is a very much a need, and we'll get into the transfer portal needs later, but William Kyle leaving leaves even more of a depth and gap in that part of the court.
I mean, the William Kyle year-to-year change or difference in numbers really kind of shows you the difference in mid-major basketball to high-major basketball.
Yeah.
You look at his numbers with the Jackrabbits. Averaged 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 block per game. With UCLA, averaged just under 3 points a game, just under 2 rebounds a game, and under 10 minutes per game. And then you include the 40% from free throw. Just, it's not like he went without hype over this past offseason. I mean, Adem Bona left a hole, and you needed an athletic big man that could play good D under the rim, block shots, and score those close range baskets. It didn't work out. So we see William Kyle depart after 1 year. And as Keon mentioned, we will get into transfer portal needs without a doubt later in this episode. Before we dive into the Tennessee game, any specific games throughout March that have caught your eye? I'll go first. Oregon, Arizona was a big disappointment. I mean, epic game. Great game. Fun game to watch. But my Twitter finger was on the big red, like, nuclear button. Had Arizona been bounced in the second round. I mean, for me to pull as hard as I was for Oregon of all schools kind of shows you where I'm at with my shit list. So
the start was crazy.
Yeah,
the start by Oregon was insane.
I missed the score because I went to go get some food, came back, and the TV was already on. And I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be a beautiful hate watch. And then they fell apart. That fucking sucked.
I think Arizona was leading by half. I think they erased that deficit within, by the under 4 first half media timeout.
There was a moment I was like, oh, Arizona might go up double figures at the half. They could have led that game by 10 at halftime if things had gone their way a little bit more.
What pissed me off most about that game is that Caleb Love gets a chance to play Duke. Yeah. And if he beats Duke and Arizona makes it to the Elite Eight, their fans are just going to be so fucking insufferable.
You mentioned Duke like it's like, why do you specifically think that of all teams
because when he was in North Carolina, he would light him up.
Gotcha.
He just has a good track record against them.
He already beat him in the Final Four once.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That was Coach K's. That was Coach K's
farewell
game.
Yeah.
What a up and down career Caleb Love has had. He's either been, like, I remember when I was at Footprint Center, and for whatever reason found myself conversing with some Arizona fans, and I think we were just like saying like, "Fuck you, Caleb, we hate you," and then like some Arizona guy behind us was like, "Oh, we hate him too."
Yeah,
because like his lows are so low, and then in March he'll just become like a Juzang type figure.
Mm-hmm. So I just don't want him to become like the face of March Madness and Arizona to be the team that takes down the big bad Duke Blue Devils and Cooper Flag. So
another game, Maryland finally gets one to go their way. Dude, did you guys watch that game versus Colorado State? Yep. Okay, when Colorado State hit that 3 to with 10 seconds left, I was like, if I were a Maryland fan, I don't know how I would
Yeah, they've been a buzzer beater central. The Michigan State Holman made that buzzer beater
in
from
front
half
of
court.
SVP.
No, dude, they've had like 4.
Yeah.
And if I had 2 of those in a row, or in like just in one kind of stretch of the season, I'd be like, I can't do this anymore. They had like 4, and one of them was at home from half court against Michigan State, and then they almost got bounced from the tournament that way.
Yep.
It was travel, by the
Was
way.
it a travel? Yeah.
Yeah, it was 100% a travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like, what, 6 steps? At least 4.
Yeah. I mean, fuck. I'll give it to them with what they've been through, man.
Sure.
What do you guys think of the replay rules where, you can obviously go back and overturn
possession
out of bounds
stuff?
calls, possession stuff, but some of these possession stuffs you go back on and there's just clear, blatant, obvious fouls.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like,
why are we looking at that, not the other?
why are we just looking at this and it's like going against this team, but you can obviously see this dude just got hacked. Like, why can't we just call a foul instead?
Well, another thing that I have an issue with is like when you review these out of bounds reviews, it gets so ticky-tack where like, yeah, it's technically off of one guy's finger, but someone clearly on the other team caused it to, he's the one that initiated the ball to change direction and go out of bounds, but then it grazes someone's fingernail, and then that's what overturns the call. I'm like,
They spent so much time.
it ruins the flow. It ruins the flow of the game, and then you also get a closer look that the refs will never see in real time. And yeah, I guess the team that technically touched the ball last will not get the basketball, but it's a shitty way to lose possession like that. Because like in real time, the ref can make that call no problem because it's like, oh, like
this guy pushed it, it went in that direction.
Yeah,
versus
but now we're stopping the game to see if it fucking glanced someone's shorts and you overturn it. It just seems like not the right way to call a game.
I have a lot of problems with replay in college basketball. There's just way too many. They take forever.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know was it Sebastian Mack? I forget who on our team was like getting looked at for a possible flagrant.
Was it the Trent Perry one? The Trent Perry who ran into the Tennessee player in the corner.
Yeah,
I missed
that.
We
were watching it together. The Tennessee player was in the corner. We were getting set on defense. Trent's just pulling up to him. And
the guy ran into him a little bit.
Starts acting.
Dude,
they started replay review for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And they were like, there was no foul on the play.
I don't remember this 10 years ago.
No.
Okay.
It seems like it's been amplified in March. Shit.
What?
Juju Watkins is down and she is grabbing her knee, screaming in pain. She just got carried off the floor.
Well,
I never wish injury upon anybody.
We in our last episode, I think the words were, "I'm about to talk some serious shit." Okay, I just had, in all seriousness, I hope she's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna root for injuries for anybody.
I like the UConn-Florida game. UConn-Florida was
a great game.
Was a really good game. I have them winning, but
I just didn't know I hated Hurley that much.
Dan Hurley is a piece of shit.
It's like he's trying.
I don't really mind him. I really don't mind him.
Well, yeah, I get it.
He's exactly like Mick.
Yes, that was the point I wanted to make.
Exactly like Mick.
Do you remember when he was like the four rings thing? That's kind of like, he's got like a shit that I would do if I was 18 years old. Yeah. It's like that's how I would respond.
I don't know how verified it is. I saw a report today that the SID for UConn apparently threatened a reporter who was saying that they were going to release the quote of the "I hope they don't fuck you like they fucked us." Like he legitimately was like, beat him up, threatened. I don't know how accurate that is. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Who was your source?
I just saw it on Twitter. I could have been ratioed.
Phone's blowing up with Juju right now.
Yeah, Juju carried off. Yeah, but yeah, Florida, good game.
This is a shitty.
Nobody's in a good mood here.
Also just like work has been kind of chill lately because like I'm working, but I've got my 4-square TV up and running, and like
that's been so nice.
Yeah, but now today was just work, and my back hurts.
Yeah, just cloudy outside.
It's foggy on the west side, and I have to wait for more basketball. The Bruins aren't in it anymore. It's been a bad one.
When you're this Monday always, it's either the best Monday if your team makes it to the Sweet 16. You feel so good.
And you get to ride the YouTube videos for like 3 days.
Like 3 days with no games. And you get to talk to your coworkers. There's so much things. If your team is still in it, it's the best. But if your team's out of it, you're like, God.
But UCLA's not in it.
There we go.
UCLA ends its season with, actually, since we last aired, ends its season with first an embarrassing blowout loss in the Big Ten tournament to Wisconsin, then a cakewalk victory over Utah State in the round of 64, and then one final trouncing, this time at the hands of 2-seed Tennessee. Final score 67-58. Score not indicative. I said score not indicative over the SC one, so I got to be fair this time. That felt like a 20-point loss, not a 9-point loss. When I left with like 3 to go from the bar, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. And then when I checked the final score, I'm like, oh shit, that doesn't look that bad. It was way worse than that.
Yeah.
I think what was the spread? Was it
4.5.
Oh, well, okay.
Wait, thought it was worse than that?
I thought it was like 7.5, but we wouldn't have covered anyway.
I think this last game against Tennessee was kind of like a microcosm of all the bigger issues that we've been talking about with UCLA basketball all season. And that starts with, what do you guys think I'm talking about?
The guard play.
The guard play. I don't want to call it Dylan Andrews by name, but well, I guess we will. I mean, Dylan Andrews in his junior year, second round of the NCAA tournament, counts for 5 turnovers and 0 points. That's the guy that's taking the ball up the floor. I'm sorry, you're not going to, unless you have like a Lonzo Ball type performance to pick up the rest of that slack, you're not going to win like that. Not with the guy that's running the offense.
I mean, there were times where I thought it was so smart of Tennessee to start with full court pressure at the time that they did, because they're one, so good defensively already. 2, when it's so much different when we as a UCLA offense get the ball up the floor with 26 seconds versus 20 seconds before we get into our sets, because those 7 seconds are so vital for us, because we're just not a team that's going to get into an offense and find rhythm quick enough in a low shot clock situation. So, and there were even times where, I mean, you saw towards the end of the game, Andrews and Kobe Johnson were incapable of even bringing up the ball. It almost looked like we had never seen a press before.
Yeah.
That Kobe Johnson,
it's in the end of the first half.
Turnover to end the first half.
Yeah, end of the first half. I mean, it's like you're pushing the ball up the floor. It almost forgets like they can dribble or they can make a move on someone, and it's like I have to stop my dribble and I have to pass.
Yeah.
It was a very, very weird thing to see, and a lot of guys just sort of looked afraid.
Yeah, it was. The guard play was terrible, but I have to really blame Mick a lot about it, especially this game, because Sky Clark not playing with 2 fouls the entire first half, essentially, it was such a boneheaded move.
Mm-hmm.
Ended with 3.
He had 3 points in the first half. I think he had when we were the first 3-pointer maybe of the game that we had. And then he comes out in the second half, and for, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes of that second half, he seemed like the only person on UCLA's roster who gave a shit.
It's not a game where you can be protective over fouls like that. Not with a guy like Sky
Clark. You don't have another game after that.
Yeah.
He ended with 18 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Kyle, you brought up the point of like UCLA needing a full shot clock to run an offense. Why is that? It's because you don't have an ISO find your own basket kind of guy. If I had to really, maybe Eric Daly, and he's either all in or it's like he's not even on the floor. So if not him, and I'm looking for like a guy with a jump shot, I'm gonna at this point look at Sky Clark. So you remove him entirely from the first half. I mean, it had to have been 12 minutes left in the first half. When did we pull him with 2 fouls?
No, it was before the first media timeout.
Yeah,
Holy
dude,
shit.
It was like 17 minutes left.
Oh fuck.
It was bad.
This is what happens to me when I watch these games. I get so stressed out. I black out.
Yeah, it's fair.
But now when you say that, it was immediate. It was 2 fouls, and then we didn't see
he had a 3-pointer, 2 fouls, and pulled. You don't see him until he pulls.
Him and Daly both were before the first media timeout out of the game, and then we were pretty much rolling with Lazar, and Sebastian Mack Perry combo.
I like Perry.
Yeah. Okay.
I like him. He gives a shit. He hustles. he does some boneheaded, 18-year-old freshman mistakes, but you see that he's trying, and if the shot doesn't fall, he's willing to keep trying and make something happen. So I appreciate that. I appreciated that out of him this last game.
I will say Perry did something in this game that I don't think I had seen Dylan Andrews do all year.
What?
And he took a man on from the top of the key, 3-point line on, made a move, got to the basket and got fouled and made 2 foul shots at the line.
Trent
It
Perry's
was like
foul shooting is great.
it was crazy when I saw that. I was like, I genuinely didn't think I'd seen that all year long.
Like a hard take, but not a Sebastian Mack hard take where the ball just doesn't come out of his hands.
Or
he ends in like a yoga pose midair.
Yeah.
But exactly what you said, Ross.
You know what I mean? He does the same shit.
Yeah. But exactly what you said, Ross. Like a guard that can go ISO and take someone 1v1 and create and get to the big and get a foul. Like Trent Perry did that, and I was like sort of taken back. I was like, holy shit! Like that's on our team.
I mean, we talk about transfer portal needs moving forward. A guard or a wing that is capable of finding their own points has to happen because, dude, you look back on like some like the hot Daily games, it was like such like a whoa, like we're freaking out because Daly's putting up points because like that's such a foreign concept to us. And when it happens, like we fucking blow it up on Twitter. It's like you should kind of have a guy that does that most games. I mean, you don't want to live and die by it, but like when worse comes to worse, you're getting pressed. The shot clock's low. Like you need a guy that you're going to pass to. And right now, there's not one guy I can think of where it's like getting the ball right now.
No. Yeah, and that's why losing Kamenya on the recruiting trail also was such a bummer. Now he's going to Duke next year. I think him and Trent would have been, because they were high school teammates at Harvard Westlake. I think they would have been a really cool combo. And Kamenya's more talented than Trent, but Trent would obviously have 1 year on him. So. Yeah, would have been a cool guard combo to see if, Mick could have pulled out that high school recruiting.
I feel like I have to bring it up because I certainly brought it up on the Instagram and the Twitter, admittedly after a few too many. But I still stand by it, or at least most of it, and that is that Mick should have a prove-it year next year. Yeah, I know that the term hot seat fucking freaks people out, so I'll call it that. I'll call it a prove-it year. But that's how I feel. And I'd say the reception I've gotten to the Twitter and the Instagram, it's been about 50-50. I wouldn't say like you can classify the UCLA fan base in like one camp or the other, like they still want him. They all want him gone. It seems like it's pretty 50-50. But like, I'm sorry. If we're not at least having this discussion after the last 2 years, like how can we sit here on this show and pretend like we're a blue blood? Yeah. Like, what are our standards? Like, do we share standards with Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, UConn? Or are we fucking Xavier or Marquette? Like, they're not bad, but that's the B tier. Yeah. And if you're not at least having these discussions and having, like, spirited debates on whether or not next year should be Mick Cronin's hot seat year, then I think that you go ahead and fold up the blue blood tent because we missed the tournament last year. That doesn't mean that now, we made it at the second round. It's improvement. It's like, no, we got embarrassed in the Big Ten tournament, beat a shitty Utah State team, and then got embarrassed by Tennessee in the second round.
I just think there's a large talent gap and we saw it versus Tennessee. Like, there's a large talent gap between the talent that we're getting at UCLA versus talent that maybe some of these power, for SEC schools are getting. And I mean, I was on Twitter earlier today seeing some of the numbers that get thrown around for NIL, and it's I don't think UCLA is competing in that same ballpark when it comes to NIL. That's half the battle at this point. But I do agree with you, Ross. Like, I think that Cronin in this next year definitely needs to show something. But if he can retain, I'll stand by this. The only reason I will be satisfied with this year is if we can use this as a building block for next year big run.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't, if let's say they return most of these guys and it's around a 32 exit next year, then yeah, we're calling for heads, because now you've had these guys for 2 years. You've had your year and a half to develop them. And I mean, it's not like, I mean, Daly was a all freshman Big 12 of the year, you know, Bilodeau, Pac-12 player, first team, all that stuff. Like, these are good players, and he needs to develop. And he's shown that. I mean, Jalen Clark developed under Mick Cronin. Jaime Hawkins developed under Mick Cronin. Like, he's shown that he can develop college basketball players to make it to the NBA. So, you know, do it with the next phase of UCLA Bruins. I think that's what we're asking as fans.
Yeah, I mean, and there's players who have. I mean, Mick's kind of hung his hat on the transfer portal recruiting, barring 2 years ago, I guess now. There are players in the transfer portal that have gone to other schools that are coming from not, you know, big name basketball programs and have put on All-American seasons. So is it a talent evaluation problem? And that's something I've been hearing a lot about is like, yeah, he's getting these players that are All-Americans other places, or not All-Americans, all-conference players in other places, and it's not translating as well. Like a Walter Clayton Jr., who's maybe top 5 player in the country, transferred to Florida from Iona. My point being is that there is talent out there, and NIL has made those talent gaps smaller because between the mid majors and the Power 5. But I almost think that it's an evaluation problem that Mick has.
You'll find plenty of discussions on that online. I mean, remember Dominic Harris?
Yeah.
Do you remember that he's still on the roster?
I think he is.
I mean, that was we spent 5 minutes of this episode talking about not having a go-to shooter.
Yeah.
That was it was a drawn out process to get that guy in school, all because he was just
a stud 3-point shooter from LMU. Yeah,
he probably didn't eclipse 30 minutes on the season.
Yeah,
I would say the same applies to William Kyle. Like, just such clear limitations once we saw extended minutes from him, and this was supposed to be our next Bona.
Right.
I mean, just total whiffs.
Yeah. And the standard isn't, like you said, Ross, the standard isn't making the tournament. The standard isn't winning one game in the tournament. Shit, the standard isn't even making a Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm.
You know, UCLA has 11 goddamn banners. We haven't won it in 30 years. Like, the standard should be competing for championships.
Yeah.
You do what you can. There are certain schools that are basketball schools. There's certain schools that are football schools. Wherever you want to put UCLA in, which I would personally put it obviously as a basketball school, you have to invest in that from the athletic department, which is a whole other conversation. And then the boosters, which we've seen considerable NIL considerations from boosters to Mick Cronin's team. And then it's the last thing. Yeah, he should be on the hot seat next year because we don't fucking come around for Sweet 16s.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is that, like, I'm not saying fire him now.
No.
I'm just saying next year there needs to be something next year. And I don't think any reasonable person is saying fire him right now. But yeah, I see people saying, "Oh, this was a good year." Like, no, this could maybe be a forgivable year if we retain this core group of guys and infuse some serious talent from the transfer portal, maybe one high school pickup. But this is not, like, how is this have things got this bad, or did a bunch of these fans just start following in the Alfred years?
Yeah, that's it. It's a good year for an Illinois. This is a good year for Oregon. But you know what I'm saying? This isn't a good year for UCLA. Why are we, like, Kentucky wouldn't be happy with the exit. Who else? Duke wouldn't be happy with it. UNC, they're calling for his head, the coach.
Oh, yeah. And he just got extended.
Yeah, but he just took him to a couple Final Fours.
And it would also be different if behind all of this was high-level recruiting. And we had a class, like a war chest class in the works in the background. UCLA doesn't have one high school commit right now. I know that it's obviously, look, the season just ended. That's certainly subject to change. And the portal opened today. But Mick hasn't really shown us much to, like, have us fully believe that we're going to recover. Like our road to recovery from this is going to be from recruiting and pulling in high-level talent. Because the elephant in the room is that Mick's best players, most of them have been Steve Alford players. I think that's fair to address.
Yeah, and there's also a point I want to make about in my opinion, the top two coaches right now in NCAA is Florida's coach, Todd Golden, and Duke's coach, who both of them are pretty young. I think there's something to be said about connecting to your players on that level as a person. I think his players really like Mick, and we've seen that in the past. But these young head coaches bring an energy. They're able to connect with their players. They're able to recruit really well. I'm just saying there's something to be said about an injection of youthful energy.
Yeah,
they're lively,
You look at our entire staff, to be quite honest with you, and it's middle-aged men.
Yeah.
I know. I think we have one younger guy in there. I don't know his name, but
the clapback's just going to be, well, players love him, but that's when they get into the program.
Yeah,
and you have to get them there.
Yes.
And right now, I don't blame them for not coming to UCLA with what they're sampled with.
Yeah, but if you have a couple assistants in their mid-30s, I'm not saying hire a 35-year-old head coach and let Mick Cronin go tomorrow. I'm saying look at your staff, hire some players or hire some coaches who can maybe connect a little better with the players. So when you do rip into them, they're able to kind of play a little good cop, bad cop.
Gotta have a players coach. Gotta have a
Exactly.
players coach on a good team.
Shocker, 18-year-olds aren't able to connect to middle-aged men.
I think that one of the biggest things that's hurt Cronin over the past couple of years is that he's really relied on through his whole career is player development and getting to spend 1, 2, 3 years with the guy. And you saw that with Hawkins, you saw that with Campbell, you saw that with Clark. Obviously he got Bailey, right, who was a 5-star to Sierra Canyon, and Bona. Those are two outliers of his sort of tenure at UCLA. But just sort of even going back to Cincinnati's not drawing high 5-star recruits that are showing up on campus. They're going to be one and dones. They're guys that are going to be there for 3 to 4 years, and Mick's going to sort of mold them into veteran college basketball players. And obviously in a portal era, it's so much different. You're not going to have, UCLA's team, who knows, they could all be in the portal tomorrow, and he could have to do the same thing all over again. Not saying that that's going to happen, but I don't think that Mick Cronin's style of coaching is as suitable for where this game and college basketball and college sports as a whole has sort of turned in the last couple of years, which is a little concerning for me. But as long as his war chest of NIL continues to go up in value, which I really hope it starts to do, and we saw a turn last year, big time, that's going to help tons. It's going to help so much.
If there is a war chest, and we're talking about this offseason, it has to go towards Adai Mara. Just call it the Mara chest.
Absolutely.
Because
he's a stud.
That is known. I think without Adai Mara next year, this is that you're now entering, I guess, kind of dead man walking type situation. I do not have the confidence in Mick's ability to evaluate and build a roster if we lose Adai Mara.
The fans will turn on him.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying that right now, getting ahead of things. The NIL has to be very serious this offseason, and it has to be very seriously weighted towards retaining Adai Mara, because he has said nothing so far about coming back. I think he's deflected a couple questions, despite a couple guys like Sky Clark, his teammates, already saying that they're coming back. Just from his play alone, it's probably going to get some attention from NBA scouts. I won't be surprised if he tests the waters, but if he leaves, then we're going to have to do an emergency episode and be like...
Yeah, I was just about to say I think he could leave and turn pro. I really do.
That would be different. There's that possibility.
Like if he goes to like a SEC school in an Alabama or an Auburn, just see the 7'3" Spanish guy who's throwing down ducks and doing 4 or 5 blocks in an NCAA game, and they're just like, hey, let's just toss a fucking bag at him. That would absolutely, in my opinion, end Mick's credibility.
Well, the thing is that like you wouldn't typically blame Mick for that, because it would probably be just like a dollars amount thing, and like he's not the one he's not paying out of his own pocket. But I highly doubt Mara would be as swayed by money had you just played him the way every single other person but Mick Cronin thought. And that's to, like, in certain games, double the minutes he was given. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the 9-minute, 8-minute games after he'd already proven he had his coming out party against Wisconsin. Any game after that where he played under 15 minutes was a joke. And we can now say that now looking back on the season. So, yeah, if he leaves, there's going to be some loyalists out there, some ass kissers that are going to be like, well, he's not the one that is paying for. He's not bankrolling this roster. Well, I highly doubt Morrow would be testing the market waters as much as he is probably going to, had he just been played the way he should have been.
Yeah,
just saying.
I had been calling for so many more minutes out of Mara the entire season on Twitter. It was so obvious. I would just say one last thing on Mara, that I don't think this type of thought process even exists anymore in a college basketball player's mind that's making, six figures upwards towards $1 million. But Adai Mara came to UCLA from another country, from Spain. He left home and he traveled all across the world to come to UCLA and didn't know anyone in the United States. And, I would hope that sort of Mick, fostering a place that hopefully felt like home. I feel like he, sort of connected well with his teammates and maybe some other people on campus, that UCLA sort of feels like that safe space for him in the United States. Who knows if that even is a thing that Mara would consider in all of this. If, let's just say, an Auburn comes at him and throws, $900K at him, and UCLA is going to give him, 500 or 600,000. It's like, all right, I've spent 2 years here. I'm super comfortable here. I mean, Adai Mara going to, the South into SEC, country, it just doesn't seem like it would fit. But who knows if, anyone's even thinking like that anymore, if you got another $300,000 coming at you.
The fact that Auburn is a threat now. I mean, nothing. Bruce Pearl he's at the top right now. One of the best coaches in college basketball, and Auburn's a great program. And we're just using them as an example right now. But I mean, I am the one that defends UCLA as a blue blood online all the time, because I still mostly believe that they are. And I mean, at least, like, they'll never lose their title, because, like, even Nebraska is still included in the football fucking blue blood discussion. And Michigan had been until,
they didn't win a title in like 25 years.
Exactly. They were in like the same exact boat, but nobody would ever say that Michigan's not a football blue blood. So I'll always believe UCLA, even for the next 20 fucking years, is still a Mount Rushmore program, blue blood program of the sport. But I mean, in terms of, like, in the modern game and the way that it functions, I mean, if we can't even sniff a match to a school like Auburn, I mean, is our alumni base not big enough? Is it not rich enough?
It is. Our alumni base is big enough, and it is rich enough. It's about engaging the alumni base in the correct ways.
My point.
Yeah.
So, and then I guess that kind of brings me to, like, the point that I wanted to make next is, like, I'm, like, maybe or maybe not clamoring for UCLA to next year explore other options, but who's going to be the one that's leading that search?
You need to get Bob Myers involved as the GM.
Anybody but Martin Jarman.
Correct.
Yes.
I'm not even saying Martin Jarman. I don't like him. I don't think he should be the AD, but he can stay. You need to hire a GM. There needs to be a GM. Bob 100%. Myers loves UCLA. Mm-hmm. Bob Myers helped Dan Guerrero. He was on the search committee that hired Mick Cronin. Mm-hmm. Bob Myers is a 4-time NBA executive champion with the Golden State Warriors. He put together one of the most dominant rosters in basketball has ever seen. Why would we not engage?
What is his level of involvement right now? Do you know?
I don't think it's since they hired Mick and it's changed from Dan to Martin. I don't think it's been very active.
Okay.
I don't know anything besides. I don't know if it's a personal thing or whatever. I just know it's not as active. He's a pundit on ESPN right now.
Yeah.
But we saw.
He hasn't been with the Warriors since 2003.
2023, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the hire 2003.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I was like, wait.
What, 2003?
Yeah. But like you look at like a Woj who goes and becomes the GM at St. Bonaventure. And St. Bonaventure isn't a crazy school, but he's doing it out of the love of his school, and they've gotten some pretty good recruits for the caliber at which they are. If you get a good GM who's able to say, hey, I GM'd at the Warriors, I have NBA connections, knows how to talk to people as their free agents, knows how to put together a roster.
See, that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
What I'm not comfortable with is what we saw with football a year ago. Replicating that or going through that process, not even with just the hiring was one thing, but obviously the departure of Chip Kelly and what preceded that was just humiliating. So it's, I mean, the hypothetical you just mentioned is fantastic. Whether that actually would happen or not, who knows? But if you're a fan that's kind of in the same boat that I'm in, that's like not fully opposed to next year possibly moving on if things don't work out, like that will make you think twice. If you look back at the football offseason and the hiring of Deshaun Foster, which I still think is absurd. That terrifies me a bit because UCLA football, if we're being serious for the last 25 years, has been a bit unserious. And like that was kind of like the cherry on the top with that last coaching carousel. But to see that replicated with UCLA basketball, and like let's say he brings in fucking Earl Watson or something like that, would be crushing.
Yeah.
That would really crush me. For any kind of like circus like we saw with football to happen.
I don't even know how you could go forward if that was the case. I mean,
he's just dying to hire Earl Watson. And just have
Didn't Earl Watson used to work at the athletic department in some capacity? Was he with BBC?
Earl Watson was in like one of our like Spanish 3 classes.
Yeah, I want to say he was
UCLA.
somewhat.
He was like taking classes with the baseball
Maybe that's what it
guys
was.
at some point. Yeah,
I'm telling you, if next year's a disaster and we move on, you better hope that this that this theory of yours, this committee becomes a thing.
It has to. That's just the modern college basketball. You need a GM. You need a
you would think.
You know, it's just what I'm thinking.
I also didn't think you would hire your running backs coach.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's because the problem with Mick and you mentioned this earlier, Kyle, when you mentioned the Jaquez Tiger Campbell, the development. He didn't have a plan once they left. Jaquez, Campbell, our buddy David Singleton, this core of players, Jules Bernard, they kind of all left at the same time. You know they're leaving. It's not like the pros where you have an unlimited contract that you could keep offering them years. Like they were going to age out. But there was no plan to replace them.
I mean, there was a plan, but the plan was a shitty player evaluation of Euros.
Exactly.
Yeah, we tried to become Arizona, and that just did not work.
Exactly. So that's why you need and I'm not. That's just the modern college basketball. The basketball coach should focus on the team through the season, making them a championship contender, and then you hire a GM who then focuses on roster building, looking at the future, NIL. Women's basketball is able to do it. Corey Close is able to fundraise. Corey Close is able to fundraise like a motherfucker. The amount of money that she's able to get for women's basketball at UCLA is absurd.
I'm about to say something crazy. If there's one person that Mick Cronin should mimic in the athletic department, maybe be Deshaun Foster, because I'm not pro Foster with his hire. I literally just said that. But the biggest credit I'll give him is what he did immediately after this past football season. Yeah. He was clearly reflective and looked back on the year and said what went wrong. Fired Bieniemy within a week of the end of the season.
Made a good hire.
Solid hire with Censeri. Is it Tino Censeri?
Yep.
So that would ease a lot of my pitchfork and torch bullshit if you saw some sort of like hire, whether it be like a GM position or like some sort of recruiting known recruiter or guy with ties to programs in high schools. If you bring in someone like that and make a serious change that shows that you are willing to adapt then I can live with that because, yeah, I have no faith with the way things are run right now that we're going to build a team that is going to be much better than this past one from a talent perspective.
Totally agree.
Like, this team was deep, sure, but there was no one that was really that skilled at basketball.
Yeah.
You know, fuck. I think we can now say that confidently. No one was really that good on that roster.
It was a six good players.
Yeah. How many of them would start?
Yeah.
How many of them would start on a top 10 or any of the protected seeds this year?
Maybe one who's coming off the bench.
Yeah. Fucking
Mara.
there you go. clap that one up, dude. Probably a Mara is the only guy on the roster that would start on any of the protected seeds this year in March, and he's coming off the bench.
What makes, like, you got to look at other teams that are building rosters like this. Florida, they have 2 7-footers. Their entire game plan, it's not defense. It's they pull up to the line, they shoot a shit ton of 3-pointers. If they don't go in, one of their 7-footers is going to rebound it and put it back in. That's why they put up like almost 100 points every game.
In college, you really can just spam the height advantage. It's just be tall. Go be tall.
Yeah, just grab the rebound. You have 3 people just spamming 3-pointers and 2 7-footers staying under the basket and rebounding and then putting it in. That's all Florida does.
Yeah.
Offensive boards are like literally getting offensive boards are like taking walks in college baseball.
Yeah.
Taking walks in college baseball is a godsend, and offensive rebounds are just a second chance.
And if you get 30% from 3 in that game plan, you're blowing teams out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think I looked at the stats at halftime the other night, and I think Tennessee had turned the ball over more than us, but they had literally, I think, taken 8 more shots than us at halftime, I want to say, and it was all from offensive rebounds and second chances, and it almost felt like anytime we took a shot, that was our only chance that we were going to get at the basket. So, 100%. Return to Daimara, get another big, get a guard that's physical.
We all seem to be in relative agreement about things, which is cool, right? We're not afraid to say that next year is a big, big, big year for Mick.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
And then if it goes to shit, let's be real with ourselves and potentially look elsewhere. Not to put words in your guys' mouths. UCLA women's basketball. They are headed to the Sweet 16. They're going to play the Ole Miss. They call them the Lady Rebs over there, or are they just the Rebs? I know UCLA women's basketball is just the Bruins.
Yep.
Calling
Very clear
them
about
the
that.
Lady Bruins is not a thing here in Westwood. Is Ole Miss the Rebs, or is there a female version of a Rebel that I should be aware of?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I think they're just the Rebs.
Well, regardless, they're playing Ole Miss. I know we got
Friday.
Okay, cool.
Are you
I'll be
going,
in
Kyle?
attendance.
Yeah.
I'll be in attendance.
Let's go.
Yeah. Shout out to Sam Glick. He's also coming up. He's going to be up here for the game, traveling with the team.
Hell yeah.
And, we got tickets for Friday, got tickets for Sunday. Hopefully they make the Elite Eight.
Well, dude, hopefully you get to witness a repeat performance from Lauren Betts.
Wow.
Her stat line from Richmond, 30 points and 14 rebounds. Am I reading that correctly? That was just from the Richmond game alone? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, absolute domination. And, I mean, we have it written down here. Should UCLA, are we getting snubbed as the favorite to win the national title? You've got UConn, South Carolina, both at plus 225, UCLA at plus 650.
Especially if Juju is no longer going to be competing with USC, and that's who we would face in the Final Four. I don't know how you guard Lauren Betts.
Yeah,
to be really honest with you.
As long as Lauren Betts, I mean, we just talked about it, offensive rebounding. You get UCLA women's basketball with Lauren Betts on the floor gets 2, like every trip down the floor, you could pretty much bank on it almost being 2 possessions. She just collects so many rebounds. She's so physical. And then they got that Barker girl who's also very physical.
Yeah, sixth man of the year.
Yeah, there's just so many weapons, and they just got to stay healthy. Kiki Rice had a hell of a game last night too.
Was that 23 points, like 14 assists, something like that?
She was 5 for 7 from 3. I mean,
cooking.
Like, she could play for Dylan Andrews.
Dude, not to make this about the Lady Trojans, but I am really curious to see what that team looks like without
Juju Watkins.
I mean,
Yeah, somebody's
let's check it
averaging
out.
30-some points a game.
Are they getting bounced the next round? I mean, fuck. Why would they not?
They're a 2 seed, so they're playing a 4?
Well,
Maybe
that happened.
a 3 seed.
That happened with only 7 minutes on the clock in the first quarter.
Oh, so they're what's the score?
They're up 50-27.
Oh.
So they're still pretty good.
I know women's hoops. You don't.
But yeah, I think they got to win a banner. Lauren Bett's coming back next year, already confirmed. Her sister's also joining her. I think the recruiting class is very strong for the women. Talk about somebody who knows how to recruit high schoolers. Corey Close has a pretty insane last few years in recruiting high schoolers.
Live talking tweets. Dominic Harris tweets. This is at 4:30, so this is not about Juju Watkins. He just tweets, "Unfortunate man.
Yeah,
That's it.
Unfortunate man."
Thoughts?
We got a comment from Richard J. Munchester saying, "Mick fooled you, huh?" Abescus Abe Strew says, "Cryptic tweet, Mr. Harris." I mean, dude. I mean, what I'll say is this: you know, this dude had no impact on the team when he tweets, "Unfortunate man," at 4:30 p.m., which is like prime time, and got 3 comments.
Yeah, because UCLA Twitter's pretty active.
Dude, you know what this reminds me of? You guys watch Family Guy?
Yeah.
Do you remember that scene when Meg is like really upset about something and like she runs downstairs? She's like, "I hate my life. I'm going to go upstairs and kill myself. I'm going to cut my wrist with a knife." And like no one responds. And then she like runs upstairs crying. And then Peter goes, "Who was that guy?"
What a great Peter Griffin impression.
Did that sound good?
That was pretty good.
Well,
that was pretty good.
That's kind of the vibe I'm getting
Yeah.
with Dominic Harris's "Unfortunate man."
Yeah.
Has he got any more eligibility? I don't think so, right? Maybe one more year?
Maybe one. I don't know. With these COVID years.
Who
we're
cares?
Still,
The
yeah.
Dominic Harris thing was so weird to me because he just never played, and then randomly in the first half at Arizona, he went in the game for like 4 minutes.
That was weird.
And I was like, what is happening here? And then he bricked a shot and came right out. And that was the last time we ever saw him play, I think.
Yeah. What a weird year.
The NCAA and Raleigh police have launched have you guys seen this? Have launched an investigation into UConn's athletic department per sources from Rob Reinhardt. Following the Huskies' loss to Florida, Dan Hurley went on an expletive-filled rant that was caught on a video by a member. Is this?
I just talked about this.
That's what this is referencing?
Didn't the guy threaten?
It's okay.
Threaten the media?
It says UConn's director of men's basketball communications, Bobby Mullen, then demanded the deletion of the video and threatened the reporter, saying that he'd ruin his life.
Yes. And you guys were like, "Who's your sources?" I just remember seeing the tweet.
Yeah, sorry, that part must have gone
one
over.
for Keon.
And fat bald guy racing. Mick's brother goes non-story. I love Twitter.
That guy's Twitter usage and his hours on Twitter, I would love to see his activity time.
It's Woj, number 1 on NBA trade deadline day, and then number 2 is Dan Cronin.
Yeah. My favorite part of the season was when Dan Cronin tweeted, "All right, DMs are open. Anyone want information about UCLA basketball?" And then proceeds to just answer any type of question about the team.
I'm watching the video of Juju Watkins, and she got fucked up, bro. Oh, this sucks. She's in a lot of pain.
Yeah. Well,
Juju Watkins is being evaluated by USC Keck Medicine and will not return to competition. Was it non-contact? I'm seeing this video.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so she's...
You know what I hate is when people in situations like this, like let's say I go on the Twitter account and I say, "UCLA fan here, sending my best," or like as a Bruin fan, you don't gotta fucking announce your team allegiance if like someone gets hurt, someone like tragically dies, some shit. People were like,
You could just be sympathetic.
I'm an Auburn fan, and I'll say, "Rest in peace."
We'll miss Bill Walton from the Alabama fans.
Yeah, you're not getting extra points for your. Oh wow, it's really big of you. You're a Kentucky fan, but you wished them rest in peace. You know what? Let's make this about this guy. Because I'm looking at the
People are tweeting.
Mike Regalado. I mean, he didn't actually do it. Just kind of. He goes, "Rivalries aside, this is unfortunate to see."
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
I know we're ones to talk as we were kind of dicking around, but like that, we didn't actually mean that. I think saying rivalries aside, like, that should be so without saying.
It's a backhanded sort of almost. You know, it's like,
Wow,
oh, like
dude.
what, you would so wear
Dude,
that dress.
Richard J. Manchester comes back and says, "LOL, you don't need to include the rivalries aside part."
Is that the CPA?
Yes,
he-
the CPA.
Dude, that guy is just all over the place.
Shout out Manchester.
I got
Is that his
blocked
real
a
name?
lot.
His real name is Munchchester.
It's Richard
Yes.
J. Munshear, not
Oh.
Manchester.
I got blocked last night by the mighty Bruins for agreeing with something that they wrote about the women's basketball game.
Kyle's Twitter is just different level, different gravy this season.
I just let it go.
You know who UCLA needs to recruit? Is this dude on Twitter that puts his face in the bowl of ice
Oh,
water
yeah.
and rubs the banana on his
Apparently,
face?
he was a running back at like Coastal Carolina, so I don't know if he has eligibility.
So see, I have talent evaluation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those memes are hilarious.
Kyle, have you seen
if you
this
miss
guy?
a day on Twitter
Yeah,
and you
you-
come back just to the memes,
It's
you-
like those Japanese soldiers
Dude.
that hid in the hills
Yeah.
until like 1956.
because they didn't know World War II ended. Yeah,
And then they come back out with their guns. They're like, "Let's kick some ass." And people are like, "Bro, it's like the Cold War by now."
it's like, look at this. As we say this, I get a tweet that says it's the bottle, and then it says reject modernity, embrace tradition. And it's a Coors Light.
That's hilarious.
It's like if you didn't know this meme and you were just like not on Twitter this weekend, you'd be like, what does this mean?
I feel like I missed all of last week on Twitter.
that's
I
a
missed-
that's
I
a
missed
you
good
problem,
chunk.
brother.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad.
Anything else, boys? My back hurts.
No, I'm sad. I'm sad about the. It's always like football. It was just like, yeah, it's always coming. You know when it comes. Like, but
Yeah.
basketball, when your team loses in March Madness, because even the most realistic fans always have that delusional part of them that it's like, well, like we could win because it's March Madness.
Hell, up until 2 or 3 minutes to go in the first half, I thought we were gonna win that fucking game.
Exactly.
Yeah, we looked, not to get back on the game, but our defense looked amazing.
Tennessee,
for the first 16 minutes of the game.
Totally. First 16, 17 minutes, I was like, oh, great. We're going into another Sweet 16.
Then they died.
Rip.
Have you guys,
From a Bruin fan. Rest.
Red.
have you guys seen Nacho Libre?
Yeah, of course.
Remember when he's
Yeah.
like, "My father was a missionary from Ireland, and he married my mother from Mexico. Then they died."
Get that corn out of my face.
Yeah. So UCLA held it to a one possession game until 3 minutes left in the first half. They collapsed. Then they died. And now we are moving on to the off season. We'll have one more episode for you guys to sort of take a look back on UCLA's first full real athletic year in the Big Ten. We'll come up with some other segments to talk about and make it entertaining for you guys. And then it is off to the off season for the SBS crew. We'll still be hanging around with some sporadic episodes for any kind of recruiting developments or any other sort of headlines that break or anything else that we want to talk about. But either way, if you've made it this far in the episode or you've been with us since our Jonathan Franklin episode or anything in between, thank you guys. This has been a blast, and we will come back at you next week. And we're looking forward to it. So go Bruins and be well. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Go Bruins.
All right. Later.